Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be getting into game number 2 on Entombed Valley between LiquidSnute and oScÞZium. Of course, our local Italian player, one of the 4 Italians here in the 16-player Vasacast Invitational. Snute, we saw completely crush the Century Immortal All-In on game number 1. Let's see what Zium can come up with to try and level a score in game number 2. Let's get straight into it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The map is, of course, Entombed. And we are going to be starting first with our player to the top left-hand corner. He is the Teal Protoss representing OSC, the winner of the Italian qualifier to the Vasacast Invitational. We have none other than Zium. And his opponent, the newest member of an incredibly illustrious team, as the blue Zerg in the bottom right-hand corner, representing the website TeamLiquid.net, ladies and gentlemen, we have none other than LiquidSnute. So, Zium's going to have to be thinking about a little bit of a different strategy, frankly, here in game number 2. Things are going to be a little frustrating for him. He tried to do a Century Immortal All-In game 1, and Snute absolutely positively crushed it. We saw the Spine Crawlers prepared at the third base, we saw the Queens prepared there as well, and then he just bought enough time for those fungal growths to come out because the push was just the slightest bit late, and that's all it really takes. A lot of these all-in builds require absolutely exquisite timing, and specifically that time around, that just wasn't forthcoming. So Snute going to be starting once again with the pool first. We see the pylon on the low ground for Zium here. And that, of course, is going to be indicative of an early expansion, so both sides are going to be starting the game as normal. Let's see if Zium decides to make a different decision this time around. The probe already with some minerals this time around, so he is going to be harassing the drone, forcing LiquidSnute. Just maybe send a drone to try and pick off the probe. This is actually the ideal scenario for him. And there we go. The drone going to be coming out to try and put down the hatchery at the natural expansion. And Zium going to attempt to block this with the probe. Now this is potentially... oh dear, and Snute manages to get the hatch down. Zium just a little bit sloppy with the positioning of that probe there. So Snute will comfortably be able to get down okay. Now, that's actually quite important because obviously we have the destructible rocks here on Entombed, which makes defending the third slightly more awkward. You can start games, for example, where probes successfully block the hatchery here, maybe put down a pylon as well, and then you have Zergs taking this third, and that makes the third base very, very frustrating to take when you get, for example, Zealot Warpins a little bit later on if those rocks aren't just completely destroyed very early. So they can be a lot of fun there, a lot of good stuff coming down for Protosses that choose to go for that early game aggression against this type of expanding Zerg. In the meantime, though, we can see the gateway going down next to the forge at the natural. We've got the cannon most of the way complete as well, so these Zerglings shouldn't be able to get too much purchase inside the main base of Zium. So things are going to be just perfectly fine for him here. And in the meantime, we have a single drone. He's just going to be moving down, getting ready to mine at the natural expansion. There we go. A couple of his buddies will undoubtedly follow suit, and the third base is approximately halfway complete for our Team Liquid player. Cybernetics Core going to be completing this wall off here. A small gap, of course, left so that units can escape the base, but we have the photon cannon comfortably watching that, so that anything less than about 6 lings probably won't get you any sort of scouting information whatsoever, and even then the scouting information might not be too valuable on the grounds that it's pretty clear that our Protoss has gone for a relatively normal opening. Zala going to be popping out onto the field in just a second, which will be, of course, the first military unit of the game for our Protoss. And in the meantime, we have Lings chasing a probe around the map. Might actually get the kill on it there. And they very slowly inch closer, and it looks like, are the shields going to regenerate? They are not. So poor Mr. Probe is going to die, but we have got a second one sneaking around the southwest side. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, Overlord positioning here just to check out the third base from LiquidSnute. We have a second Overlord here that can also see the third base, so I wouldn't mind seeing this one maybe poke a little bit up here so that he can creep into the main later on and see what the tech is going to be. But really, that doesn't matter too much at this moment in time. Note that the +1 ground weapons has started for Zium. So I wonder if this is going to be indicative of maybe a gateway build, gateway-centric build, rather, from him. Does this Stalker see the second Overlord? Yes, he does. So he knows the two of them are there. And it looks like one of them from LiquidSnute is actually going to go down here. I don't quite think he can get out of range of that Stalker in time. And indeed, one of them goes down. The second one actually can also be hit from that point of view as well. And if a second Stalker decides to pop out right here, this could be a little bit of trouble, because I think this Overlord can be hit from that spot. I suppose we'll find out in just a moment. In the meantime, we have the Roach Warren already complete for our Zerg player. So we should be seeing units move out very shortly. The layer is going to start at the 7-minute and 30-second mark. And the worker count at the moment is 44 to 63 in favor of LiquidSnute, really trying to power up to saturate those 3 bases before anything else, ideally. He hasn't sensed any Protoss aggression coming out on the map just yet. A couple of gateways coming down, though, from Zium at the moment. It looks like, yes, a little bit of a supply block due to this Overlord going down in between this Sentry and this Stalker. Able to take out 2 Overlords between them, which is fantastic news indeed. And using these Sentries to wall off at the third. Now, typically, we see a single pylon and maybe 3 gateways here, followed by cannons in between. Zium appears to be taking a little bit of a modified approach to this. He's actually going to be using the pylon as part of his wall-off, which can potentially be dangerous, but it means he requires fewer buildings to actually get this to work. And with the cannon there as well, it would still take a sizable commitment from Snute to break through there. Snute, though, in the meantime, suspect he has noticed the timing of the third base simply because these Overlords were so eager to get killed. He's actually going to be taking a 4th base himself, so we're actually seeing a very, very macro-oriented build here at the 9-minute mark. So not too much else right now. Snute actually anticipating an all-in. Look at this. He's actually building 4 spine crawlers at his natural expansion. He thinks that Zium is going to be coming at him with some sort of massive attack right about now, and he's a little bit worried about it. He thinks his opponent might be all-inning him, and to be honest, if you hold off aggression that early in the game, in the series rather, the way he held off that Century Immortal aggression in game number 1, he's going, well, my opponent really didn't execute this that well because I was able to hold it off absolutely with ease. So I wonder if he's going to get afraid and maybe try and all-in me again with game number 2. If we take a look, there's a lot of Chrono Boost left here. That might actually be used for gateways a little bit later on. So this Overseer is just going to scout out everything that's going on here. He will see that there are 6 gateways, and that's because we have a decent number of units coming in towards the 4th base right now. Snute currently supply block of 105 out of 104. Decent force fields, but not quite airtight. A couple of links actually coming in trying to pick apart these sentries here, and it's just Zealots and sentries in this push, which means that the Roaches should be able to have a more or less a field day, but enough DPS happens that he can't actually do that at the moment. A lot of spine crawlers coming in to root it up, though, and he might be able to pick apart the 4th and get away, I think, but these spine crawlers are going to do quite a lot of damage. Let's see what happens here. 2, 3, 4 of them get rooted. 5th and 6th one coming up from behind. We've got the Roaches as well, picking off a couple of sentries, and I think Snute should be able to hold this. But the hatch does indeed go down, and I think the smartest thing for Zium to do right now is to go home. He needs to hold his 3 base. He needs to not try and win this outright at this spine crawler wall. It's just not the best place for him to engage. It would be much better, for example, for him to go around and try and get into the natural at this point. So why he wants to force himself to do that, I don't know. He also has no Stalkers in this army composition, which means the Roaches can come and snipe at these pretty much all day long. So I like the fact that he's actually moving back towards the middle of the map at the moment. A little bit of a supply block, though. He needs to continue making pylons at home, and only now does the pylon start. So that's going to be a frustrating situation for him to be in. He is starting 4 of them at once, though, because he's realized that these pylons out in the middle of the map are likely to go down as well. There we go. Those are all... Wow, that's a lot of pylons there being built at the 3rd base location. And we have got more buildings coming down, a Twilight Council and a Robotics Bay behind this as well. We can see, unfortunately, Zium just not quite up to the multitasking at the moment. He was briefly over 1,000 minerals. Good force fields trapping off a section of those Roaches. So he's going to be able to use these Zealots to do a fair amount of damage. The problem is the rest of them are doing a healthy amount as well against the Zealots. And if these sentries become naked, they are all just going to be Roach food. And the last thing you want to be is Roach food, ladies and gentlemen. This matchup, the sentries are basically trapped here. 2 of them going down, a 3rd one, and possibly a 4th going down as well. And oh dear, they're trying to make them part of the wall up. That is never a good idea. 3 sentries on virtually no health is basically all he has left, so he can try and snipe them off, and the ones being warped in are actually getting taken out as well. So many sentries being taken apart right there. LiquidSnute currently 124 to 96 supply lead. He's currently also ahead 80 drones to 69 workers, so he is successfully going to be getting his 4th base up and running once more. We have the spine crawlers rooting at this location this time around. And both sides are going to stabilize right now. Zium is down to 116 supply. After robotics base starting to stream out Colossi, and a lot more gateways coming down from him as well. In the meantime, it looks like Extended Thermal Lance is about to commence. He has a lot more minerals than he does gas at this point of the game, but he is in fact mining from his third base already, so he will be able to ramp that up very, very shortly indeed. He might be going for a bit of a push with a couple of Colossi, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad decision at all. He's got ground weapons level 2 on the way as well, so potentially he could be going in for some sort of timing against Snute. Great gunk there by the Overseer against the robotics facility, trying to delay the Colossi coming out, and it was only 3 seconds from completion. Really, really cool stuff coming out of there from him, and that also means that Chrono Boost is basically wasted as well. I believe it is anyway. I didn't actually double check that. So I'll definitely take a look at that a bit later on. But there is the first Colossus out on the field now. We have a Spire about to complete and a 5th base being taken from LiquidSnute right now. He's also going to be getting a lot of Infestors. How many does he have out on the field right now? Currently 7, with 6 in production just now, making a total of 11. Okay, so a little bit of overlap there. And some Spine Crawlers being made in the middle of the map. This Roach squad over here actually doing a reasonable job. We've got +2 Grand Carapace at the moment, and what he's really do is basically hanging around here, making sure the Protoss doesn't sneakily take a base in the top right, making sure that a probe doesn't pop out or anything like that. And a couple of Changelings are going to spot that there's a little bit of a train of units going towards the center of the map, so Snute knows that this attack is incoming. And once again, a Blink and a War Prism +2 is going to be completed soon as well. So Zium going to be going for a +2 timing rather. Can't be a 2-base timing if he's already on 3 base, of course. And let's see how well Snute handles this. Zium's actually maxed out at the moment. He's at about 192. So once the Warp Prism pops out as well, he's basically going to have free reign over his supply. 2 Changelings do see, though, that the army is popping out, and he's just going to check the 4th to see exactly what's going on. And we have got some Creep Tumors being taken out in the middle of the map here. Is there an Observer with this army? There is. So the Creep will successfully get taken out. But where will Snute make his stand? He has a huge army here. Broodlords are morphing in right now, and look at this. That's a lot of energy on the Infestors. The Colossi are trying to pick apart the Spine Crawler wall. Is he going to be able to come in and do some fungals? Yes, he is. A couple of Zealots managing to get some fungals. We have a second attack going on up here. Snute trying his best to flank with some Lynx and some Roaches. But these Infestors are practically naked at the moment. He needs to be very, very careful with them and try and get some tank in with them as well. Nice bit of fungal, but he is wasting 1 or 2 Infestors there. Supply from Zium currently 160, and Snute at 185 still has the possibility of flanking thanks to this creep that's still here. And yeah, Snute is just bait and switching with these Infestors until the Broodlords arrive. So he might have lost a couple of Infestors, but it's going to be okay, because there isn't too much right now that can deal with this Broodlord kind of composition. And it looks like the Broodlings are actually going to scare Zium away at the moment. He's down to 124 supply versus the 192 of Snute. And the big problem for him right now isn't actually the current supply. Zium has 2,500 minerals and 900 gas, so he can resupply pretty quick. He has a decent number of gateways. That's not too much of a problem. The problem right now is that Snute is comfortably mining from his 4th and 5th bases, and he can transfer some drones here from his main and natural whenever he feels like it, if he needs a couple spare. But he's actually doing a good job with his saturation at the moment. 79 to 68 worker supply, and Zium at this point in time will be forced to move back. The Broodlords, once they get there, are going to be a bit too much. He's going to try and focus down the Roaches individually, though. The Roaches chasing the Colossi, and the Stalk is actually doing a lot of damage in the meantime. This is really, really good baiting coming out of here from Zium, but the problem is he's basically freeing up supply with the Roaches. Is it done a little bit too much, though? Was that an overextension? He was trying to free up the supply with the Roaches and maybe get the Broodlords to buy some time to come in. But now, 2 blinks later, half the tables actually turned. Zium's gone down to underneath 100 supply, but look at how many Broodlords just went down. He's lost all his Stalkers, but look at that, a single Broodlord remaining from that original army on very, very low hit points indeed. The problem for Zium, though, is being able to warp stuff in constantly. Don't forget, he still has minerals and gas in the bank. Yes, he just lost a lot of units, but he took out a lot of Broodlords, and Broodlords, guys, are very expensive. So, Snute's still feeling pretty confident there. Good transfuse on that Broodlord. But he's going to have to work his way back up. And to be fair, with this many Broodlords morphing in, it's not going to be too much of a problem whatsoever, since his 5th base is comfortably mining. Look at that. Spine Crawlers in a pentagram shape. Diablo has taken over this 5th base, ladies and gentlemen, and Snute does not want anyone getting it. Now using the Chasm architecture here towards the 4th base location to try and take out Zium. Zium has to let this base go. He's at 120 supply versus 191 at the moment. He needs to be continuously getting units in at the moment. He needs to try and fight this. The problem is I don't even think we have a star... Oh, we do have a Stargate out for him, but I don't think we have a fleet beacon. It's not the kind of thing where we're going to see a mothership on the field anytime soon. So no potential at the moment for Archons. I don't think we have a Templar Archives as well, but +3 is nearly on the way. The problem is he's getting caught out with these Infestors. This is not something Zium can do if he wants to win this game. He has to hold back, wait till he's maxed out, and it doesn't look like Snute's going to give him the opportunity. GG, and Snute wins this particular game 2-0.